Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to Alation's virtual test flight experience today. Thank you everyone for joining. We're super excited to jump into our test flight. However, we're going to give this just a few minutes to allow everyone to log in and join today. And then we'll go ahead and get started.
Happy Thursday, everyone.
Yes, almost to the weekend. We've made it.
All weather is coming.
That's right. All right, folks are joining as we speak. Feel free to put in the chat where you're dialing in from today. It's always fun to see the reach across the community. Welcome Shannon and Kaiten and Lewis. Welcome everybody. Heather James. Hello everybody. For those that just joined, welcome to Alation's test flight. We are just giving this just about a minute and a half more here, and we'll jump right into the content. We just want to give everyone a chance to leave their last Zoom and join us today. Thanks for posting, Nathan. We will cover the details on the free trial as soon as we get everybody in and we are live. All right, we're going to give it about just another half minute, everyone, and we will kick off. Thanks for your patience and thanks for tuning in today. Okay. All right, with that team, I'm going to officially kick us off. Welcome to Alation's virtual test flight experience for everyone that's joined today. We're very excited to host this experience and share time with you today. My name is Stephanie Sisto, and I lead regional marketing here at Alation. And from our team to yours, we're just very thankful for your time and sharing time with our product experts today. A little bit about our test flights. These test flights are informal sharing sessions where our knowledgeable product experts in the Alation community deliver an interactive technical demo, essentially, to help showcase our best practices and use cases in our Alation product. Today, we're very excited to actually go deep into our search and discovery module with you and help you learn more about how organizations like Cisco are leveraging Alation search and discovery to promote collaboration, but even more importantly, to evolve their data culture. Just want to cover a few housekeeping items today, and then we'll jump into some introductions. So Steph, if you could advance the slide, great.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll do welcome and intros. You're gonna hear from Stephanie about Alation's search and discovery reach, and also just how organizations are, building and expanding their data culture strategy. And then Nathan is going to take you through our hands-on lab that you all have access to follow along and join in real time. We definitely want to bake in time for questions throughout the audience, so just be tracking those as we go and go ahead and throw those into the Q&A. And then we'll do a wrap up and share some additional resources. But before that, just two quick housekeeping items. Please do go ahead and post your questions in the Q&A tab. We'll definitely try to get to those throughout the session and absolutely before we conclude. And then we really want to make this as interactive as possible. So during today's event, we're going to ask for you to share what you see as you go. So please drop those answers in the chat. All right, moving on. So Just a couple of questions that we often get about the Alation test flight that we want to cover real quickly here. Everybody should have received a confirmation email that contained a link for you to go ahead and activate your free trial. So please go ahead and search for that email if you haven't already. Or you can actually click on the link here that Nathan's going to throw in the chat, and that will absolutely allow you to create one right now. But don't worry, if you haven't created it today, you can follow along Steph and Nathan and absolutely create your trial as soon as this is over today. You will actually have access to it for 14 days from the point at which you activate the login. And also we will share this recording with you. Two fun facts. This is absolutely something that you can add your own data sources into. Think of this as your own sandbox. So you can add data sources anytime throughout the trial. And then I think even more experimental is you can add users. So you can share the URL with your colleagues and ask them to register too. So you can all explore the sandlot together. And all you need to do is approve their request on the user admin page. So any questions around that, throw it into the Q&A tab today, and we will keep everybody moving through their trial. All right, finally, just a quick note about your Alation test flight pilots today. Steph Ewan will be one of your pilots. Steph has been in the data and analytics space for 20 years. She started out building database applications and then began diving into how organizations can draw insights from those visualizations. Now at Alation, for over 6 years, Steph gets to work with some of our most innovative customers, closing on bridging that gap between data and working through business initiatives that matter most to these organizations. And Nathan Smith has always dappled with data, even when he worked at a winery to drive more business around seasonality. After a year at Alation, Nathan has been instrumental in building content on Alation, such as the very lab that you all are working in today. So thanks, Steph and Nathan, for driving this exploration today. And with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. All right. So one of the things that really attracted me to Alation is our vision. It's to empower a curious and rational world with data and logic. As you saw in my history, I am a BI person, so I love using data to drive insights, to make those data-driven business decisions. And of course, with that, we want to empower data consumers to at least discover and leverage insights as appropriately. So what we call that is our data culture imperative. And so it's no surprise that you're all here because data is more important than ever. Stewardship, data quality, these are all rising or top priorities already with ever-growing AI ML models, data products, and even applications, right, built directly from your data. Trust and that strong data foundation are absolutely necessary in order to scale the work that everyone is doing at the organization. And sadly, 69% of data projects fail, so don't fall in that statistic. What that means is you need to be at the forefront of your data culture. So to build a sustaining data culture, we believe there are 4 major pillars: search and discovery, leadership, governance, and literacy. You'll notice it's broken down by different subcategories, so that helps us drive in helping our customers to close those areas. So for today, we are focusing on the data search and discovery pillar over here. And with the many exercises, well, not many, but a few exercises that Nathan's going to walk you through, you'll become an expert in no time. All right. So really proud to say of over 600 customers, we've been working with building their data culture with them. And finally, this data culture maturity model is now shareable for anyone. We will share the documentation around it. And if you choose to, you can even do a quick assessment of yourself and your organization. So we all use data for all these different areas. Not saying that you only use it for search and discovery. Certainly, it's a blend of everything across the board. As I've always told my customers, data is certainly a team sport. So I see some BI folks, some governance folks, right? We all want to collaborate and work with each other so we can accelerate our insights. And the main reason why we really focus on the people is because these are the people who value business outcomes, right? Using data or maximizing their data to really, make better decisions, to grow the company, to reduce risk, right? We've all been there, where Sally goes on vacation, or worse, she retires. That tribal knowledge is lost and really just hinders the organization from being able to move really quickly. So in our journey with our customers, these are the areas that we do engage in. And of course, that leads to the usage of your data catalog or your central repository of all your data assets. Now, imagine if people didn't, return to Amazon to purchase more products and leave feedback for others, it would just be a tool, right? Today, it's a marketplace. It's for the community of folks, and it's driving that user adoption. Because without user adoption, it really just is a failing tool. So without further ado, let's get right to it. So as mentioned, if you did spin up your own instance, it's your own sandbox instance, please follow along as you can. But of course, the recording will be available to you, so you can always continue afterwards. So let's jump right in. All right. Welcome to your Alation Data Catalog. And if you have any issues or questions, please drop them in the Q&A. We'll address them as quickly as possible. Otherwise, we will certainly reach out to you after this event. Okay, so Data Catalog. It is a centralized knowledge base for all things data. Today is your first day at Juno Streaming, and we're going to play an analyst. So one of the key assets that you want to familiarize yourself around is viewer segments. Let's just do a quick search. And you'll notice that we're going to give you a couple of options of where viewer segments live today. Let's go ahead and take a look at the full search result. And right out of the gate, you'll notice that there's all sorts of metadata in your catalog. So the first one are your data, your physical data, so technical metadata. Where does the data live? In what tables? In what data warehouse? But also it's married with your business metadata. How are these segments defined, right? So if I give someone a number, I can justify or I can back that number with how the company has defined it and having consensus. Because ultimately, we are using these segments to drive all sorts of programs, campaigns, etc., right? To, again, further our company initiatives. So let's go ahead and take a look at this red one over here. And this is really truly where that collaboration and that marriage between active data governance comes in play. We all work with data in different capacity today, but right out of the gate, this is already telling me that this is an outdated data. And the fact is that I should really use this one. I know Sally is a steward. She is the authoritative voice around customer segmentation. So let's jump over to the right data set here. And we're just going to collapse this to get a little more real estate. All right. So right out of the gate, you're going to see a ton of information of what's already existing in your data environments. So lots of data that's already out there. In this case, we are in a table called customer demographics. One of the few things to help with discovery is Ali AI. You'll notice her throughout the program here, but anytime you see a little robot, you'll notice a couple of things for suggestions. This is really her assisting you in helping you figure out what data am I looking at. Again, it's my first day at Juno Streaming. And so just a quick couple of other things. Besides just knowing where the data lives, I'm also given additional behavioral metadata and context of what I'm looking at. So out of the gate, we do tell you what data is being used. This comes directly from your data sources. So if I were to, play around with the data, certainly I want to focus on what my colleagues and teammates are using today. In addition, I can always reach out to those subject matter experts if I have additional questions. And lastly, for the governance folks, if I use this data, what do I need to be aware of, right? I don't think anyone has bad intentions when using data, but just a few reminders here and there. What is our PII policy? What's classified under there? And if there's a change or an update to that policy, I'm also notified of that as well. So just kind of keeping everyone ability to still use data with some guardrails in place. All right, so now that you're somewhat familiar with Alation, let's also add some more content here. So description looks okay, not exactly great. So I'm going to ask Ali AI to help me rewrite this. Now she's going to scan the metadata. And one additional thing I talked about, behavioral metadata, because she knows how people are using this data, what I love as an analyst is this bottom section here. How can I use this data? What questions can I answer with this? And immediately start drawing some conclusions on how I would draft the queries that drives, the BI reports, etc., and really start being productive on week 1. All right. So from here, I'm actually going to hand it over to Nathan, and we're going to start the hands-on portion here.
Alrighty, howdy y'all. Now is the time where you would go ahead and log into your instance. For those of y'all where your instance is still spinning up, it might just take a few more minutes than usual with how many people we have spinning up instances currently, but you will have access to this recording afterwards, so you'll be more than welcome to come back later and walk through this on your own time as well. Not to mention that this is only a sliver of what Alation offers. So as I hop in here, right, Alation has a broad capability of creating an easy to use and understand user experience. Take this fully customizable homepage through a what you see is what you get editor. Try creating your own after this test flight. This editor can be found in your settings here. Now, I'm also going to ask, right, as we hop in here, right, just follow along and drop more information into, sorry, David, drop more information into the chat of what you're seeing, right? I'm going to be asking questions, so I want to hear, right, if everybody's seeing the same thing as me. So let's start. Now, as a user, I'm looking to look for customer data, right? And it sounds like you guys are as well. So let's come into Alation here and let's just search for customer. After I hit enter, please let me know how many results you are seeing on your own instance. Anybody seeing any results when they search for customer in their own free trial instance? Alrighty, thank you, Thomas. 143. Anybody see anything different? Are you seeing the same thing? Heather sees the same thing as well. Now, I'm also interested in looking. Oh, Shannon too. Nice. Good to hear. I'm also interested in looking only for actual RDBMS data. So I'm going to come over here to my object type and I'm going to filter this down by data. Now, filter that down and let me know how many you see. Righty, 72 from Shannon. Thomas, thank you as well for 72. Righty, it looks like we're all seeing 72. And finally, I am only interested in seeing my data, which has been endorsed by my fellow data consumers. So I want to actually narrow this down by my flags and specifically an endorsement. How many are you seeing then? I'm not going to show you the answer this time. All right, Shannon with 2. Anybody else find a different answer, or do you see the same as Shannon here? No, that's right. 2 is the right answer of what you should be seeing. Unless you've been playing around in Alation and adding more endorsements, you're going to see these same numbers. Now, let's navigate into customer demographics here. What I want to see is, are there any trust or policy flags issued against this table? And if so, what is that flag? So again, a trust flag is an endorsement, important information, or a deprecation. And this can be used to share with your fellow users any sort of relevant information, whether they should, shouldn't, or how to use data in an important way. Is anybody stuck on where to look for this? Oh, Thomas has got it. Righty, we're seeing that Mike has associated a PII policy with this object. Nice. So, who else are the people that we can ask about this data? There's 2 different things you could look at for this information. And there's a few different people. Alrighty. Yep, curator, Sally and Mike. Those are all certainly people you can ask about this. Now, who specifically is the steward of this object, right? Who is in charge of this data or curating this data? Sally, yep. Now, it's a bit obvious with her name, but, you know. All right. Yeah, everybody's saying Sally. Ketton's also answering, who we can ask about this data, right? Mike, curator, and Sally are all the people who we're going to have to go and ask questions to whenever we're wondering about, how I could possibly use this data and get value from this data. Now, since Mike has said that this table is subject to Juno's PII policy, why don't we scroll down the right-hand side and confirm whether or not it has PII? So on the right-hand side here, I have a field for contains PII. Maybe we should set that to yes. Maybe we should, ask questions to Mike. But for the purpose of this, let's just set that to yes, right? Mike has already said that it takes PII policy, and we've seen that he is a top user of this, so he obviously knows well. So instead, let's also add or set this to yes. Now, for a more free form of tagging this information, let's also just add right below it a tag of whatever you might call PII in your organization, right? Or however you might add a tag of PII classification. So for my organization, I would tag this with just PII, classification, or classified, I mean. Is everybody able to update those fields? What was the tag that you added for your specific PII classification? Just PII? Yeah. Alrighty, so on the main pane here, I see an already basic description. However, this just isn't enough for me, right? I need more information. So let's ask Ali AI to actually rewrite this description. So when you click on the rewrite description button here, let me know what sort of questions that Ali answers that could be solved with this data or using this table. So did anybody here get similar questions to me? Any differing questions than I did, or? All right, Kevin's got the same questions as me. I'm betting that most people here did as well, right? Yep, there we go. So now I have a new question, right? Now I'm trying to understand where my data is going to. So let's navigate to our lineage tab here. And can anybody tell me what is the most downstream dashboard of this data here? Thomas has got it. Everybody else see that does everybody else see that? Awesome. So now my question becomes, who is in charge of this dashboard, right? Who is the steward for this dashboard? So before we navigate to that, let's just look at the preview of the dashboard and see from there. Yep, it's Sally again. So now we can see very easily who's in charge of the dashboards that are downstream of the data I'm about to use. Now I'm actually interested in actually accessing the data itself. So let's head to our queries tab here. Now, how many published queries are you seeing? Should be the same as I'm seeing here, I guess, but unless you've added your own queries. 6, okay. Good to hear. All right, everybody's seeing 6 here. So I'm actually interested in getting access to our data, to my data. So I'm interested most specifically in customer demographics by segment. So let's head into our customer demographics by segment here. And it's actually a query form. So I'm able to define by parameter what sort of data I'm looking for. So let's click on the run query up here. And I'm going to type active into this form here. Now, before we can really run this, I have to actually set my compose credentials here. And this matches the already existing credentials that I use at my source database. So as I post in and update my credentials here, I'm able to connect to my database. And here are the credentials that you can use for running this query against Snowflake as well. After that, I set active connection. And I would go forward with running the query. Go ahead with running this query and let me know how many rows show up for you and whether you can see what's in the data. Is anybody having issues with authenticating or signing in, or is everybody able to sign in and run the query? Success. All right, I'm going to run it myself as well really quickly, just so those who are just so that those who are unable to get access currently can see what we're going to be looking at. So very quickly and easily, I'm able to see a rank of the demographic data that are active, right? And understand that data very quickly and easily. Now, I can always come here and export this data and bring it to wherever I want to, or share it in some other ways as well. Was everybody else able to actually run this query as well and see what I'm seeing? All righty. So just to wrap up here, just to end off, right? Just in a few minutes, you self-served 8 questions using search, combining curated content, and you ran a query on data you had no prior knowledge of. Oops, sorry. Thomas, the credentials are the ones that I have on screen here. So compose_user and Alation trial exclamation mark. Camel case Alation trial, I should say. Put that back up there again. Thank you, Steph. So very quickly and easily, we were able to find data understand not only what this data is, create a new description that helps me understand the data a little bit better, or us to understand the data a little bit better, right? Update curated information based off of, subject matter experts that we identified on the Alation page. We were also able to identify our downstream users so that we might be able to understand how our data might impact. Uh-oh. And, oh, Keton, let's see. So if you ran the compose underscore user with the password of capital A Alation, capital T trial exclamation mark, it should give you access. There we go. Happy to hear that, Shannon. So just to wrap up here before we head to our question and answer section, this is just one pillar of our data culture, or of data culture, I should say. For more, check out the doc on Alation Maturity Model, then fill out an assessment at value.alationcatalog.com. I'll drop that in the chat as well. All righty, Steph, if we want to move to question and answer now.
Perfect. All right. So thank you for all who were able to engage and do the exercises with us. We did have a few questions that I was able to answer, but I did want to address Chemo's question around automation done linking objects and object types in the lineage page. So let's reshare.
Here we go.
All right. Okay. So there is automation around lineage. You'll notice in most of the data asset types, there is a lineage tab. This is through us inspecting the data sources and what else you've connected in Alation. So one thing we didn't really talk about a lot is not only do we catalog your data warehouses, your data lakes, we also catalog business intelligence tools as well. So in this case, what's automatically created is the table types, the columns that are generated directly from us just connecting with the data source. There we go. And connecting the dots. So where you have views, aggregate tables, and where you have business intelligence reports and dashboards created from them. So in one go, you'll see all the connecting parts, and in some cases they are dependencies. So if you were to change something upstream, for example, what's that impact analysis? Who else do I need to notify or talk to if there is going to be a change that will impact them? To add more to it, so you said source, workflow, yep. Now, each one of these dots that you see in the middle is what we refer to as data flows. We'll try to capture this where, was it something that was generated? So if you have, like, for example, in Snowflake, if you're using like DBT, this is just a view statement, but if you're using like DBT for transformation, like in database transformations, we'll also pick that up as well, which helps with some not just lineage, but also column level lineage. And let's say all the way down to the BI layer, you change a field name, we'll be able to track, oh, the original column name was this is the transformation it went through. And finally, on the BI side, someone just renamed it to something else. That helps the end users who are consuming that report a better understanding of what they're looking at. All right. So with that, Additionally, I'll just add a little bit of a reminder. There are no additional questions. This instance is all yours. You can play around with it. As we mentioned, you can add your own data sources on here. You can add your coworkers, right? Kind of work out some of the role play or collaborative parts of it. One thing I'll mention, I had a customer in that builds mobile applications, and this data scientist had spent 9 months building a great model, figuring out pricing trends. Unfortunately, right before he was going to publish it onto the mobile app, the legal team actually came back and said that he wasn't allowed to publish this application because he had used a data set that contained customer data in there. While he didn't actually use the customer data, he used a data set that did contain PII. So had there been some collaboration right from the get-go, he wouldn't have to go back to square one after 9 months. So this is where I definitely encourage kind of reaching out to other folks that you work with in your space, within your organization to really work together. And lastly, we'll share this out with you, but you all can self-register for our Alation Help Center. One key asset in here is the university. Quick sound bites, tutorials, other content around the data catalog that you might be curious about. Of course, we're here to empower that curiosity and self-serve, really. I'll throw this into the chat. All right. So we'll do a quick wrap up with Stephanie.
All right. Well, thank you everybody so much. Thank you, Steph and Nathan, for navigating us on this test flight today. And thank you everyone for joining. Just a shout out to Shannon, Thomas, Keaton, Heather, Kimo, and Alan for being so engaged and exploring the tool with us today. We hope you enjoy being in there for the 2 weeks to come and keep learning and inviting your colleagues. We certainly hope that you learned a thing or two about our search and discovery capabilities today, and ultimately how this can lead to a culture that's thriving from a data culture experience and collaboration. If we go to the next slide, I just wanted to highlight that we really want to help you keep evolving your data strategy. So we've got a couple of resources here, both a live experience and some follow-up content that we think will be useful. So first off, just remember your trial is 14 days. That's for you to play with, add your connectors and other users. We're also planning to host an office hours session next Tuesday for anybody who wants to join and receive some hands-on support as you experience the trial. And that will be Tuesday, October 1st. Depending on where you reside, time zone wise, it's between 9 o'clock and 12 noon on the East Coast. So we will send you a calendar invitation to join that. We're also going to be pushing out an email to you after this experience that will include a case study. And it's a great case study around how Discover, just a huge organization, is really driving acceleration from a data discovery and search experience. It's just a wonderful case study to learn more. We also have 2 Alation briefs, which are really just webinars. They're like lightning strike webinars with some great content. And finally, we have a YouTube station, and there's a great search and discovery segment on YouTube. So hopefully one or many of these resources benefits you. And with that, we will go ahead and conclude the session today. Thanks again, everyone, for your time. We wish everyone a terrific rest of the week and weekend. Thank you so much. Thank you, Steph and Nathan.
Thank you, everyone, for joining, and hope to see you all next week.